The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Return the Jewels. Also, there's explicit language. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 21 of Return the Jewels. This week we have a really special one. Although I recorded this interview about a couple months ago, I think you'll still find a lot of the things that I talk about with our guests are very timely, but also evergreen. I have my friend on, Bassam Shawl, to this for this episode. He's a comedian, writer, actor, former lobbyist, and he has a podcast that called Wokemanistan, and you can check it out on all audio platforms, and it'll be linked in our description and all that. But this is a really good conversation. We talked about Kashmir, we talked about lobbying, corporate influences in politics, and all of that stuff, and really just the thought process that goes on there. We talked about some of Bassam's successes and failures in his career and what he perceives to be successes and failures, and really, ultimately, it's a conversation about perspective because, of course, I hammer in the Dunning Kruger thing over and over again, and we talk about that and we talk about that issue and as it relates to comedy and entertainment and lobbying and other stuff like that. But this is a very enjoyable episode. It went long again, but the conversation's engaging, and yeah, I think you'll like it. I mean, if you don't, whatever, just leave a comment saying you don't like it. Um, but don't do that. Just and I mean, enjoy it.
Okay. So basically, like, okay, you're not currently a lobbyist, but you were a lobbyist, right? And
Yeah.
me was okay. I know a little bit about it, whatever, because like I have a law degree in a political science thing, so that's my perspective. It's from an academic derivative perspective, but right, no, so not me, but some lay person off the street coming to you. You're a lobbyist currently at this point, and just be telling you about your industry without really any knowledge, right? Because they can have the high confidence of using other people's trafficked opinions and what's popular to come at you with that with really no substantive experiential knowledge, right? And so you can dismiss it, but they can come at you with that confidence, right? So it's like you see that pattern more and more in the people you meet in like let's say instance for comedy, right? You meet a comedian that's doing well in comedy, right? Then they feel they can tell you about other industries with such confidence and experience because they've been clapped for a lot for sharing opinions that are popular, or maybe opinions that are contrarian but nonetheless popular as deemed by the marketplace of the clap.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you're like reaffirmed, I feel like that's like definitely something that
It's
gets your
like a
confidence
cycle of
going. It's like a
confirmation.
cycle, yeah. And then it kind of like it's like almost like pathological from there. Like like kind of like pick it up, the energy sort of continues. I would say for like lobbying, yeah, I mean like a lot of that is based on like charisma and like having to sort of like be able to make small talk and like make small
Right.
talk and like
But
be
see, this
human.
is the thing. Okay, but that the point is that this is a thing specifically because of your experience. So it's like with my experience about lobbying, I can break down what lobbying is, what skills to develop, what to traffic.
Sure. Yeah, 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 yeah.
So you know that, right? The layperson can't know that, but it's just like, yeah, with lobbying, you got to have rich parents. With lobbying, you got right. They can only infer the thing, and they can say it with such confidence because some figurehead, some talking head, says the same kind of thing with whatever their agenda may be. But the whole point is the whole reason I'm saying this is we were talking earlier before I press record. I kind of sneak press record. By the way,
Yeah.
we're here with Bassam Shawl. Did I say
What
that
up?
right? Did
Yeah,
I
that's
say that
correct,
right?
man. Yeah.
Okay.
Bassam, there's so many different ways,
Messiah.
aliases.
I'm here with
Bassam.
Messiah.
Yeah, get the Arkansas law degree to use right there, bro.
No, that's a Mississippi in me, dog.
Oh, all right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm here with Bassam, And no, but anyways, the reason what we were talking about before this is we were talking about the Kruger Dunning effect, and
Yeah.
and we've talked about this on previous episodes. I talk about it in a lot of conversations. It's like when you start out in a different industry or a different skill, a different hobby, any new thing, right? You may get an initial success in it, or you may get initial positive feedback, and you conform that positive feedback into your and you internalize it and assume that you are highly skilled at a thing you just started. So your confidence level is up here on a y-axis of confidence and then the x-axis of knowledge and time, right? Over time and knowledge, the more knowledge you have about the thing. So you're here at the beginning with the confidence, right? About something you don't know anything about. So your
This is
knowledge.
like Christopher Nolan breaking down cocaine. This is basically what you're doing right now. You're like being like Tenet of like, all right, this is what it's like to just like rail a line. Yeah, you just get
I haven't
confident,
seen
bro.
Tenet
Yeah.
yet. I haven't seen Tenet.
You don't need to see it. It's
I
frustrating.
need to
Yeah,
watch.
but
I
yeah,
need to watch.
Dunning Kruger. Okay, yeah,
But yeah, Kruger Dunning effect. So up here you have high knowledge, you have high confidence and low knowledge, and because you have like a win or whatever, and so you basically with such a low data set of wins and losses, you take any win to be the norm. So you have a high confidence about it because I just replicate my behavior and I'm going to keep getting wins. But as you know, if you're a comedian, that's a good set, right? Your first set ever, it's great. You get a lot of laughter. Maybe you were drunk and people were laughing at you, but you got a lot of laughter, so that's positive feedback. Now you're
No, I just brought a lot of friends and family in my first set, and
boom,
thankfully they were
right,
like not
right.
assholes and
Now
left, right? Yeah.
that gives you that high confidence, but low
Yeah.
knowledge about anything in comedy. Now, as you keep doing comedy more and more, your sets are really maybe not as dynamic. Sure, maybe the content is dynamic, but the reactions aren't as dynamic, and you start to drop your confidence. But you are slowly gaining knowledge about the craft by getting knocked down and knocked down. But your confidence is dropping. Then you get to a real dip with a very low confidence, but you got a decent level of knowledge. And the level of knowledge you have is that you have a vast amount of knowledge you don't have, right? You know that there's a vast amount of unknown. So that's that dip. And so as you start to get more knowledge of the things you don't know, because you understand that these are all technical issues and practical issues, and I got to learn this specific things to do this and this thing to do this and this thing to do this because I don't know these things and I understand my own limitations, you start to get your confidence back. And it goes up. It doesn't go up at an astronomical rate, but it goes up with more knowledge and time. And so what we were talking about before we recorded this episode is the Kruger Dunning effect and how we see it in in this comedy community. Bassam is a comedian. Bassam is a comedian, and
Inspiring.
I'm a photographer and producer in this comedy community. And so we know each other, and we talk about this. So like we're talking about how relating this Kruger Dunning effect and seeing it manifested in a lot of the peers in our community and how they act and different intentions that they broadcast for their actions or the different justifications they have for their actions. And as any third party viewpoint, if you can be an objective third party person viewing anybody's trajectory given enough time and data, you can see their patterns where they're messing up. A lot of people don't recognize issues in themselves, but it's readily apparent on their outside. You know what I mean? So it's like in the comedy community, you see a lot of people with the Kruger Dunning stuff, right? With where they're good at comedy,
Yeah.
and they're getting a lot of laughter. And so they'll be like, well, if I'm real good at comedy, I probably know a lot about medicine because I can just, these are the opinions about healthcare. These are
Yeah.
things people responding
And
to.
then you start a podcast, and then that's how misinformation
They
spreads.
start a podcast about colonialism, about
Yeah.
returning the, stolen wealth, aka the jewels.
Personally, dude, I love The Crown season 4. That was pretty good, honestly. Like, it was definitely on the queue, because I mean, like Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady, and then you get like Diana, and like Diana's got a fetish for brown dudes, so I'm really looking forward to seeing season 5.
Oh, that's right, the Harrods dude, and that whole
Yeah, there's that
broke up
Instagram
the whole
account.
perception of the royal fidelity.
Yeah, no, it was like a Pakistani guy, I think. So it's like,
Oh
extra
shit!
crazy.
Do you think that's
Yeah.
what caused the terrorist trope? Is
Yeah. No,
the
England
brown
was
guy
like,
broke up the fidelity
we'll
perception?
just say like, England was quick to invade in 2003. You know what I mean? They were like, oh yeah, let's do it. Diana's got to get avenged. That's basically the way to do
Those
it.
guys are somehow connected to Herods.
Yeah, it's a great store, man. What a great cut. England, dude. I haven't been back since like '06, but that's the second motherland apparently.
Yeah, but so yeah,
Yeah.
you see the Kruger Dunning effect. I'm sure. Like, okay, yeah. Oh,
I'll
I
give you
can talk
an
about
example.
this. Yeah.
I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. So like with comedy example. So like before I left for New York, I did the show at the DC Draft House Comedy Theater, and I think that was about like maybe like a year and a half into comedy at this point. And looking at the tape now, I'm not good. I'm not that good of a comic at this tape, right? But I was helping out the guy who's producing the show. This guy named Martin Amini, a very funny guy in DC, and he had like a huge following. But like I helped him with the show because he knew that I did a lot of bringer shows, where like I had a lot of friends in the city. So as I was leaving New York, he's like, "Hey man, I'll give you like 5 minutes of stage time at this like really hot show that he runs called The Overachievers." And so the crowd is packed with like all my friends from DC. So that's like all like my work friends, that's like friends from college, that's like family. And I mean, I have a good set. It's because like the audience is rigged. It's like 80% my family, right? And
Yeah.
then a week later, I moved to New York, and like it's bad, right? I get it. So you have to restart, and I'm not that good. So you have to go to mics, you have to do barking, you have to get better. And like through my time in New York, I think I've gotten better. I'll give you an example. When I did the show that you asked me about, my profile picture, like the background. So that was at the Canal Street Market. That's that show Hack City. I was doing a guest spot on there, and the producers had asked me to basically just like run the table, like basically like take cards to like give out alcohol, and then they would give me like a guest spot. And the show was hot. There was a lot of comics that were really good. Like Eva Witt was on the lineup, like Tuma was on the lineup, Hazmi Garza, and I go up and I crush. I have a really really fucking good set, and my brother was there to see that. That was really cool to see that. But like that was an example of like, okay, I worked hard to get to that point. And even then, like I was giving a very small opportunity, but like I've learned the craft since. And when I take that opportunity again in front of a crowd that's not rigged for me at all, I ran with it. But it's only took
Yeah.
like a couple years of New York comedy to do that. So maybe that's an example, I guess, of Dunning Kruger or Kruger
That's
Dunning. I
like
don't fucking know.
if we were to make an analogy or metaphor for current times, that would be like your digital echo chamber, and being a performative blogger in a digital echo chamber.
Yeah.
Once you leave outside the echo chamber and your name is Tommy Lahren, people criticize you and you're like, what?
Tommy Lahren, or like the gun girl in Ohio,
Literally
like
any one of
yeah, yeah.
those blonde, whatever.
Bro, but they have a following. I mean, like, dude,
Yeah.
as soon as you just like get like people just in the room, or like in the digital space, just like telling you like, "Yo, what you're doing is great." You're like, "All right, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna keep doing this." Yeah, you gotta keep doing it because like
That's a high
I'm a
confidence, low knowledge. The knowledge comes from being knocked down.
yeah, yeah. So thankfully, New York comedy knocked me down before I was able to kind of get too ahead of myself. But
I mean,
good.
can I ask you your age? You're in your 30s, right?
No, dude, I'm 27. I'm turning 28 in March.
Oh, okay. Well, okay, around the same age, sure. Like, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I,
yeah.
I usually have this thought. The reason I say age because I feel like around this age, people are kind of just relaxed more, and you're not about hyping shit so much as it is just about work, always about technical work, technical feedback, because you understand the value of gutless feedback or, too much praise feedback. But okay, 27. I used to like have this thought a couple of years ago where I was like, yo, up until I was 27, I was absolutely correct about everything I thought about. My opinion was fucking right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and
I
then
mean, you're in law school, or you're in law school at this point, right?
no, I'm like 3 years out of law school,
Okay.
and not really doing much in the real world, kind of a piece of shit, you loser. And but my opinion was right about everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Everyone else is wrong. My shit is right. If they disagree with me, they just don't know. Maybe they're not as sophisticated. Maybe they're not as educated. Maybe there's 100 reasons why they, why they're wrong. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
I feel like around 26, 27, that shit, 28 maybe, that starts to shift. And you're like, I am maybe not, I might be wrong.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I
What?
might be wrong.
So wait, as soon as you get some grades and you bald a little bit, you're like, oh, it's
Wait, grades.
actually
I
fine.
don't have grades.
Oh, I got grades, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, I got grades. Yeah.
I know I don't have the hairline, but don't tell me I have grays.
Yeah. If you get grays in your beards at this point, it's like, all right, that's when you gotta hang it up. That's when you gotta start
Wait,
coloring.
hang it up.
Nah,
No. I'm gonna keep
leave it
going,
on.
man.
Yeah. You're trying to get that Amitabh Bachchan kind of like goatee. That's the only way you could ever do it.
Amitabh
You think-
Bachchan's probably got a fucking toupee. I'm pretty sure he's got a toupee. And by the way, we're gonna cut this clip and put it on our YouTube and be like, Amitabh Bachchan has a toupee? Question mark is gonna be the title of it, and hopefully that's what gets us viral. But yeah,
It'll get us viral,
Amitabh
yeah.
Bachchan has a toupee, and I'm sure all those dudes dye their hair.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. But I mean, like, I don't know if I've ever done that, but I did colored contacts when I was younger because I was like mad insecure for a minute about like how my eyes were just like
You
plain
listen to a
brown.
lot of Limp
So
Bizkit
I got light brown though. Yeah, I did listen to Limp Bizkit. I mean, I did the Noogie, yeah, but
during the colored contacts phase.
oh no, I guess I didn't see that.
Oh, I was
No, I was more of a Linkin Park guy. I really fucked with Linkin Park, dude.
so funny.
Oh my god, angsty,
So
dude.
funny.
Angsty, yeah. I would just listen to Linkin Park like on the way to like Linkin. I would watch. Basically, yeah, I would like go to like India, I would go to Kashmiri, I would go to Delhi, just listening to Linkin Park, watching like Too Fast, Too Furious. Like that was like my childhood growing up. So it was interesting.
Man, wow. You were
Yeah.
literally the personification of an Ed Hardy shirt.
I think I could have been. I could have been, dude. I like thankfully didn't end up that way. I think I was a little more of a fuckboy douchebag, brown dude, right? That was a little more of the angle.
Why is that the angle?
Not the angle, so to speak. It's more like I was in a brown frat, so like I was exposed to like a lot of
brown
like
frat?
yeah, like Sigro. Do you know Sigro?
Oh,
So like there's like these like multicultural fraternities in college, and like I was in a brown fraternity called Sigma Beta Rho, and it was founded by like a lot of like Bengalis, um, and like you know that maybe more exposed me to like brown people as like as a group of people who like hang out like as like friends because I had brown friends growing up, but then like most of the kids from my high school were like white. So this is the first time like I had like brown friends who were all like from you know like their own I guess like personal experiences with their own like person of color there, and now like everyone is kind of like grouped together, and like that was an interesting culture growing up in college because like I wasn't really exposed to that in high school. So then there was definitely things that I saw that like they loved to do, and I'm like was like kind of caught up in that for a little bit, but then I kind of was like, no, I don't think this is like necessarily what I want to do because I was trying to be again like a lobbyist diplomat, and that really didn't like fit the criteria, you know.
what do you mean things they're trying to do? Like Diwali shows?
Diwali shows, yeah, no, it was like Tamasha. That was cool. I wish I did like all of like the. I wish I started stand up in college, so I could do like shows at like Tamasha and like all of these like really cool. They had like Countdown, all these like really ominous sounding fucking names, and then you had like Eva Longoria on the flyer. You know what I mean? Like just to get like it's like co-hosted by like the Black fraternity and like the Asian sorority. It was like a whole crazy like multicultural experience. So like that was pretty cool in college. Honestly, that actually equipped me to handle the real world a lot better because I was mostly surrounded by white people growing up.
Yeah, and you're probably really getting into marketing too at that point as a thought, like as a hey, this is fascinating.
Yeah, I think I just ran into so many people from so many different like kind of like backgrounds that I was like, how can I like to sort of interact with everybody, and how can I do that? How can I like reach broader audiences? You know what I mean? So like I just like comedy is good because like
Dude,
I want to make multiple people laugh, you know?
there's a thing. Okay, so you grew up where?
Syracuse, New York, like upstate.
Oh, okay. So basically, might as well be Mississippi.
Yeah, I mean it's like a college town. It's like sleepy. It's really snowy. But like you know the basketball team there is pretty great, so that gets some like good national attention. And like you know the schools themselves are pretty nice. It was like a nice place to grow up, like outside of winter.
Then you
But
moved
mostly
to DC.
white, a little more conservative. And I moved to DC after I graduated.
So college in DC, away from the parents, 4 years.
No, college in Syracuse actually. So college in Syracuse where I lived at home for a semester, and then I lived off campus. Then I went to Istanbul, had the glow up there, and then I came back, graduated, moved to
Had
DC.
the what there?
The glow up.
We'll glow up.
The glow up. Like I grew the beard and I put the hair up because like before that I had just like a mob top and like I was like, you know, sexless. It was just like it
This was
wasn't good.
in Istanbul.
In Istanbul, yeah. Because then you like, you know, you see how like the Turkish dudes kind of like accent their
Istanbul.
looks.
How should I say it? How do I say it?
It's actually Constantinople, which will get me killed by every Turkish person who's ever going to listen to this podcast. No, it's Istanbul.
Goddamn.
You know,
It's,
um, but yeah, it was a cool place.
was that glow up influenced by the youth culture there?
Yeah, because I was hanging out with like like European students and then like Arab students and like I don't know, I just I felt more like kind of like at home. There was a lot of different like multicultural aspect of it. It was very westernized, but like there was like an Eastern backdrop, so like I felt at home. Then when I moved back to like Syracuse, I was actually like really depressed because I was like, you go from like Istanbul to like this like shitty snowy city that has like crumbling infrastructure. DC was nice because like that was a good mix of like a city and like a little more of like a slowed down suburban area. And then like New York is my favorite place on the planet. So
So you had an experience where an early on experience, early in your uh, early adulthood experience, where the need for representation wasn't even a factor. You got to live a year or so where it wasn't like, where it's like your skin and appearance and everything is normal. There's not really, microaggressions are different because you're not an implicit ambassador
well,
for,
microaggressions came because I was like short and I didn't speak
yeah,
the language. So
yeah,
they're like, well, you look like us, but you're tiny and you can't. What am I getting out of this? So yeah,
fun
it
roasts.
was yeah. I was
Fun
just saying
roasts that aren't
there were
really reductive or dismissive based off of your.
short king, man. All I'm gonna say. Shah Rukh Khan is SRK, but I'm SK, bro. I'm the real SK.
Bro, you don't have to tell people you're short. You're gonna get into like movies and stuff. There's a thing called low angles.
Oh, dude, yeah, dude. I'm like taller than Tom Cruise, and he's also from Syracuse, so I think I'm also gonna make it.
Oh, you think it's something in the water? Are you gonna go into Scientology? It's good for networking.
I wouldn't doubt it, dude. I feel like California offers some interesting explanations of the meaning of life, and Scientology is one of them. So think about that, But yeah, I think Scientology actually itself is like response to like the concept that the Jews control Hollywood. You know what I
I
mean? Because like
mean,
this guy Al Hubbard was like a complete anti-Semite, and
oh
he's like,
sure. I feel like
I'm gonna,
all
yeah,
people who start religions are anti-Semites.
yeah. It's funny because like Judaism was like the first one, so they're like, "Oh man, I don't like them. I don't like them at all." So then came Christianity, and then
Fuck you, Dad.
Islam. Yeah, right? Baha'is are just like the most anti-Semitic fucking religious
For
group.
real? I don't know
No,
much
no,
about
no, no,
Baha'is,
no.
but I just know that
No,
Baha'is
they're
are
very
like
peaceful.
super inclusive. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah, no, they're very peaceful. It's just like they're like
But
we
like the
can't.
Lotus Temple, those guys are bigots.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I
It's
get it.
little cable in Williamsburg. Yeah, the Baha'is. Um, but yeah, they I wouldn't go past Scientology. But yeah, I mean, whatever. Short King, you embrace it. It's really funny enough. Like my girlfriend's like the exact same height as me, so like I lied on the dating. I said I was like 5'7". So like when we met, she's like,
It's just relative perception, dog. You guys,
yeah,
you both
I
you could be
identify.
super tall or you could be gnomes, and but you both experience the world together from the same
I
vantage
mean,
point.
she like has some dope like Stone Mountain jackets that are like dude jackets that I get to wear, and like maybe like my kid's gonna be like 6'2" at the max. So
Bro,
like that'd be cool.
dude, androgyny is gonna be the wave.
The way, yeah,
You might as well expand that closet.
it's the future. I could show you my background. It's pretty feminine. Feminine. I just wanted to do the SpongeBob one, but yeah,
Yeah,
maybe that's the
show us your
future. That's
background.
that's the look.
What are
Oh,
you
I'll show you.
hiding? What are you hiding?
Let's see. Not choose the virtual backdrop. None. There you go.
Oh,
Bada bing.
that's not that feminine. Is that feminine?
I don't know.
It's
It's all right.
it's like it's clean and orderly. I
So
guess
much better
maybe
than
that's
mine.
feminine. Yeah.
So much
Yeah, I
better
mean,
than
look at
mine,
my
dude. Yeah.
background. It's like, I mean, well,
I liked your setup, dude.
thank
Your
you.
setup's been good. Your setup was really cool. I'm glad that I got to chill with you right before this shit all hit. And you know what's crazy is like
You
my
did good.
birthday was my birthday was like the last thing that really popped off before the pandemic. Like we had that big party at the counting room, and that place is not closed forever. Like it's wild, dude. It's absolutely insane. And that helped. That's where I got COVID. I got COVID on my birthday. So like,
Oh, what a present.
yeah, yeah. 27, I lost my smell and taste, and yeah, that was
And you
the
gained
funny.
appreciation for yourself.
I gained appreciation for myself, dude. I didn't know
You
I
did.
had it because we didn't even know at the time that it was like smell and taste were like a symptom. And my dad, who's a doctor, I called this dude. I'm like, yo, I lost my smell, I lost my taste. I'm kind of freaking out. I've had like a fever for like a day. He's like, you're fine. Take some Tylenol, like rest it off. And I'm like, dude, like we found out later that it was fucking COVID. And like, all right, like this is one doctor I don't know if I want to trust. You know what I mean?
Wait,
And then
did
like
the
when I
Tylenol work?
no, what I did,
No.
dude, I swear to God, this is what I did to cure myself of COVID. And I again didn't know I had it, but I was literally just
Oh, we're gonna cut this
smoking.
clip, by the way, and
I
call it
was
cure for
smoking. I
COVID.
was yeah, here you go, right? I was literally smoking weed every single day. I was just like hitting like the joint every single day. And then I was like doing yoga because I was like really into core power yoga. My friend Victoria gave me like a free membership. So I was doing fucking yoga. And then like I was eating like fucking like chicken wings from Wegmans. I was eating like really bad like chicken wings and like cookies from like the one of the best grocery stores in the world. But like
Did you
that
say
was
you
literally
were? Did you just say you were eating chicken wings for vitamins?
yeah, I mean for nutrition value, yeah, chickens are great. You chicken soup, that's a thing. So like just put some buffalo sauce on it. Spice helps the digestion. All of this shit makes sense. I got cured when I came back to New York in May. I had the antibodies, so clearly I did something right, and my body responded well. But shout out to
Building,
the Indian practice.
building your body is the best antibody.
Exactly. Shout out to the ancient Indian practice of yoga. That's the only thing I'll ever credit to India.
Ancient Indian. I thought it was Irish calisthenics.
No, only for what's her name, Gwyneth Paltrow. That's Gwyneth Paltrow's vibe, bro. That's that goop shit. Where she's like,
Yo,
I
you
invented
should.
yoga.
I talked about this with Nimesh on the episode about like how so it's like yoga studios everywhere, great, there's the practices of it, sure, whatever, it's great, and it's a lifestyle thing, and it's the wellness industry, all of that, right?
Yeah.
But it's like a lot of the teachers here are certified by some like nebulous whatever trainer in India. And I feel like it's probably just a racket of our cousins that are that just like do their day jobs in the call centers, and at night times they run the yoga teacher training studio.
Globalization is beautiful. Globalization is beautiful, right?
But they're on the front lines, or their backs are on the front lines of appropriation.
Yeah. All right. So in that way, they're basically, oh, they appreciate this, so we'll appropriate their money away from them, and like it just
I
that's
don't
how we
think
get
give
the
a
village
fuck, dog.
power.
It's a racket, man. I mean,
Right.
these dudes in India are like doing phone scams and all that shit, and they're defrauding senior citizens here, and there's no way to like prosecute them or get them, and it's just like, all right, well, okay,
I
that's
mean, it's
happening.
great. Swamis deserve money, man. Swamis and gurus, like I feel like they're dramatically underpaid, and like like I'll say it from like a point of view from like a Muslim, like we overpay our mullahs and our like ayatollahs. I don't think they actually spend the money and give back to the communities. So you know, definitely
You're being
very high.
sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm being sarcastic. Yeah,
Okay.
come on, dude. All right, yeah, but
I was just
no,
like, oh, wait, what? This is like what? No, he's
one
being sarcastic.
one of the things that cool things I was in core power before the pandemic hit, and Victoria Hoffman, she's a comic, so she was like an instructor there, so I got a lot of free lessons. But like I came out of a class once, and someone was like, "Aren't you that comedian?" And I was like, "Dude, this is my dream. This is like literally my wet dream." And like all these like girls were like checking me out for a minute. But
This
then
is
it
a
was
scene in my
nothing
future epic
happened.
show.
Yeah, yeah. No, this will definitely be in like my like memoir that I write. Like a forward, like Barack Obama, get like a fucking Netflix deal out of it. Yeah, but yeah, man. I mean, like that. I think as a general concept, like yoga, maybe that's been appropriated, but like, I mean, I came to it because there was a lot of benefits to doing yoga. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
A lot of visual
Run their
benefits.
whole lives and shit, just
Yeah,
like with certain religions, they make yoga their identity, and it's great.
totally. I mean, hats off to those people because like that's a good hobby to have. It's healthy. Fuck,
Bro, it's a great identity to adopt. Like shit.
totally. Fuck.
You're
I don't know,
promoting
like
wellness.
I don't know too many douchebags who do yoga. I know I do, but like I think they're like not as like
They don't
manic.
stick with
Yeah, they don't stick with it. They're doing it just to hang out with their girlfriend for a minute. Yeah.
the only time they do it is in secret.
One thing I did hate though is because like I would do it pretty consistently. Most of the class, 90 times, it's like it's women. So, but there's occasionally there's a dude. What I would hate though is that sometimes the dude would like sit next to me, and I'm like, dog, there's all this other space. Why would you want to be next to me? Like, why would you want to sweat next to each other? Like, what are we trying to do here?
Oh,
And
it's
then it becomes a competition of like who can do the better yoga shit because it's like sculpt yoga, who can weigh bigger weights. It's like, oh, it's so fucked up, dude. I hate that.
it's like a guy getting the urinal next to you in an empty public bathroom.
Yeah, but then like the other urinals are just hot women who are like saying like, "Hey, we're in this pose," and like we're like wearing like really like scantily type shit. It's
Other
terrible.
hot women doing the weird front squat.
Yeah, for real. They're like, "This is the sorority squat," but now
That's a
it's
yoga
on a
joke.
mat. Yeah,
and a standing urination joke.
nice, nice. Yeah, but no, but I think from like the last time you saw me, from my birthday, yeah, a lot better than I am was 10, 11 months ago.
Yeah, I mean, the pandemic lets you. What are the silver linings? It lets you slow down, lets you realize what.
I beat COVID. I
So
beat COVID. I
you
beat
beat
COVID. You
COVID,
have to go up. You have to go up from there.
bro.
What else
You
can you do?
beat
Yeah,
COVID up top.
up top. March COVID. New York March.
Ew,
Brooklyn. Sephardic, not Sephardic.
bro.
Hasidic area, dog. I
Uh,
literally caught it.
Hustle and Grind Twitter would call that "kill the frog in the morning."
Yeah, yeah, for real, dude.
That's right. I did read that one Tim Ferriss snippet.
I'm gonna definitely pretend that I know what you just said, but yeah, cool.
That's for one of the 12 listeners we have.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I was just like, in a really interesting place. I had to leave New York, but thankfully I came back, and I don't think I want to leave the city anytime soon. But it's crazy to see, like, obviously how much it's changed. And like I was running a show for a little bit. There's a huge demand for this dog. It's crazy. It's really fucking crazy. Just like to see, like, I remember I did a show in like Astoria Park, and Astoria Park, it's like, dude, it's like a drained pool. There's like no lights there at all. It's like 28 degrees. Fucking 8 people in the audience. I'm like, this is insane. I wouldn't ever dream of this like actually being a thing. But like comedy will come back a lot better, especially now because Trump is gone. So like none of that more like hack Trump bullshit that everyone's doing like on late night. Now it's actually going to be a little more nuanced. So I'm actually excited about that.
Yeah, two prongs.
Yeah.
One, no more of that hacky shit they're doing on late night. Second prong is if you're not like a very publicly known comedian or whatever, and you like got a day job and you're working, there's also a certain element under that administration where you're kind of like scratching and clawing and surviving, and like really like riding the fence on things and very carefully stepping around issues and stuff. So it's like a lot of your mental energy is siphoned in this fucking blob that steals your life for 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, like, it is interesting because like I have caught a glimpse of like what my life looks like without stand-up comedy, because like I was doing it literally every single night, and like now it's completely different, where like I was maybe before, like, indoor dining and everything was like really closed. I was maybe doing it with the pandemic in mind, maybe like 5 times a month, which is not that great, like maybe like once a week. And like you feel healthy. I don't have bags under my eyes anymore. That's kind of nice. But like I do.
Bro, I do.
Yeah. That's just because what, you're from UP, bro. That's just like genetic, dog. Right?
UP and MP. No, well, I
There
mean,
you
it's
go.
also because I don't sleep. I got an insane schedule that's not structured in any way. So there's a lot of stress around it. I should be able to structure it. If anyone here has any feedback to tell me how to structure things in Marie Kondo, my time management, that would be great. Anyways,
Sponsored by Casper Mattress. You can get the best night of sleep of your life, and available at $19.99.
And I will find the lowest price Amazon bestseller alternative to the Casper mattress that is under $130, and that's what I'll.
That'd be great. And then the kids in China who shipped it will definitely kiss Bezos's feet and worship him like a
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it's probably just also a Casper mattress, but they put it in different packaging. They're making both of them.
But it's good to have like a life outside of comedy. I definitely agree with that. It's like a nice change up where I am saving a lot more money, but I miss it. It's like I'm getting the glimpse of it where it's like I feel I'm very happy, but I'm not feeling fulfilled. If that makes any sense.
Yeah,
where it's like
that makes a lot.
So like when I had that opportunity to like write for Tiffany Haddish, that was cool because I came from my job.
Yo,
but then, like,
wait. don't bury the lead here. So recently, Bassam
Yeah.
had a job where he had to write dialogue for Tiffany Haddish interacting with uh, somebody,
CEO,
C-
yeah, yeah,
CEO
yeah,
of your company, right? But
yeah.
the interaction has to be lighthearted and playful, and so it was your charge to write Tiffany had funny lines for her in her voice. Okay, go.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, essentially they brought me in because they knew I did comedy.
Yeah,
So I like wrote the scripts, and then Tiffany's people saw it, they loved it.
yeah.
It's really cool to hear that. And I got to watch the recording of it, like live on Zoom, and like she said basically everything like word for word. And then she actually got props to kind of like make the writing actually like a lot more fun. And what was kind of funny for me to do was I like took a lot of like the stuff that she has been in, because like the company deals with like measuring media. So like I brought up a lot of her content and what is she doing in the future. And so like she loved basically the self promotional aspect of it, in addition to kind of like being lighthearted. And then I've like obviously seen some of her work, so I kind of like did the whole like like she ready, that kind of stuff. So that helped a lot. She loved the script. The CEO wrote all my lines as well, and like I got a copy of it, which is cool. We'll see if I can leverage. It's like virtual corporate comedy. I don't know, like if that's
Yeah,
like
I mean,
a crazy comedy writing credit at all, but like it's kind of be like, all right,
bro,
well,
I
Tiffany
mean,
had it.
I feel
All right.
if you're a writer, you're a writer, a writer, a writer, right? If you're a professional that can deliver the thing, if you're a professional that can deliver the deliverable in versatile situations, then you are building a reputation for being reliable. You
Or you're just a TikToker, pretty much. Yeah, you can. That's
I
like what you
mean,
just
yeah,
described.
a
As
lot of
TikTok. Yeah, yeah.
TikTokers are reliable, bro. Don't
No, I love TikTok.
underestimate the word.
I love TikTok.
Even Vine from like 8 years ago. Think about the people that
Rest in
blew up
peace.
through Vine,
Yeah,
right? But it lives on through the hearts and minds of our youth, right? Because the people that blew up through Vine, you know, how insane was their micro production schedule for those Vine bits that they had to really chase that current algorithm at the time
yeah.
to blow up, go viral, use a new medium, use a new form of storytelling, 6 second storytelling, you know. So even with TikTok, it's a new form of storytelling. So you can't knock the hustle.
No, not at all, dude. I mean, like that's the thing. When the pandemic hit, like everyone was like going immediately to like stand-up clips, and then like I was like releasing a lot of that shit. I remember when I came back to New York, I made like a nice sketch with like Audie on like the Epstein documentary,
Mm,
because like I knew like these
the
things are gonna
bodega
happen.
guy.
Yeah, the bodega guy. Yeah,
That was
yeah.
hilarious.
Thank you, thank you. So like that was like a good idea that came to head, and like Audie was great to work with on that. I just like that was an example of like, all right, creatively I need to like do something because stand up is not coming back for a long time. And now it's like, all right, to figure out if I ever get into those rooms with people based off of what I do in stand up, it's obviously good to have a portfolio and stuff prepared, because then it's a lot easier to actually get your stuff out in some sort of like, media publishing broadcast. I
Right.
don't know what it is, but um, that's what I think maybe I should have planned for that earlier. The pandemic has obviously given when people so much time to sort of like come up with scripts and writing and all that. And I think now like TikTok is a good example. Like there's just so many different ways that you can like put yourself in a form of media, and there's different ways to capture the audience, but it kind of has to be obviously very true to you, and you have to put enough
Yeah.
effort into it where actually people, because the algorithm I think rewards people who clearly are using like high tech cameras, who are editing well. Like they really push that instead of like low cut like stand up
But
clips. Yeah, but
also,
also
algorithm is awarding people who don't have the technical capacity, but who spend the time learning the language of the medium and
sure,
speaking in it very fluently, right?
yeah,
Crafting the memes well, knowing when to post all that shit too. The algorithm awards them as well.
yeah. I mean, it helped in Twitter. That helped on Twitter. I got that one tweet that was like the most popular tweet I've ever had. But like
Yeah.
that,
Well, I'm flashing it right now.
unfortunate. Yes, it is the beautiful Duchess of Sussex, and the
Oh shit! I
future.
didn't even realize that.
That's
Oh,
so funny, dude, because that was one of the
wow!
biggest things people didn't understand. They're like, is that Meghan Markle? And like, yeah, that was like maybe half of the retweets. It's like, it is Meghan Markle because they didn't know that she was like a model on Deal or No Deal. So I think one of the reasons this shit worked was like, yeah, dude, Deal or No Deal was fucking lit. Meghan Markle is like still a fucking like icon, and then like Congress fucking sucks. So like naturally, all these three things were gonna line up for some sort of like viral moment. But that was cool because I didn't really have I don't know, yeah, like thankfully
What
a
a
couple
great
more like
connection to make, though. Like, making the tweet, making the connection with the
yeah.
Congress and it's, oh wow.
Yeah. But like, luckily, like a few more famous comedy friends retweeted it, so like that got it a lot more attention. But like, what sucks was like a lot of these like meme accounts, like they'll repost it, but like I've seen other people getting like paid for that shit, and like I wasn't in a position to get paid like that because I was like, dude, I just need followers, dude. I was like, I just need that like sort of like because if I'm not getting it on stage right now, if I'm not getting that like serotonin gratification or like the audience's approval, all that, like I need to get that in obviously like a digital form. So like that was the most important thing to me. I was like, I don't even give a fuck about getting paid right now. And that was where I came into like comedy too. I was like, dude, at this point, New York stage time is a currency. So like
Yeah.
if I'm trying to get paid, I have to like basically look at this as like another form of payment because it's such a fucking
So
valuable
your
resource.
payment on Twitter is followers, or is it retweets, or is it in
It's
real
followers.
life feedback?
I think it's followers and then like the people who you can see are like interacting with the tweet gives you a sense of like, okay, if this person who I respect is funny thinks that this tweet is funny, then like, okay, what I'm doing or like my sense of humor is funny. I should probably just fucking keep doing that shit, dude. I don't
Each
know, but
one each one chips away as opposed to
yeah,
contributes to that need for validation about whether or not I'm funny.
yeah. And then now we have the Dunning Kruger effect.
Right. Because you spend years. Oh, bro, dude, I'm doing
Yeah,
this conversation like a maestro. No, whatever. But
yeah.
you spend years, right, having to prove to your peers, having to prove to your peers,
Yeah.
that you're funny, or being seeking being told you're funny by somebody who you can say is objectively funny because they have these metrics of success, right? So you're seeking that because you maybe impute on them that they may be a gatekeeper for some sort of nebulous or potential or vague opportunity you may have in the future, right? So you seek that sort of validation because that might be the way to move
Yeah.
forward, and knowing, and the only way you can see that validation coming to you is in the form of being told you're funny, or being expressed to you or indicated to you that you're funny. So if you're being told you're funny by somebody who makes a living and makes a thriving off being
Yeah.
funny or professionally funny, then that gives you validation. That doesn't move your numbers. It doesn't really do shit for you,
But it makes you feel
other
better. Yeah.
right, other
It
than
gives you peace of mind. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
other
And I'll
than
say
rebuilding
this,
that confidence.
and I'll just say this like as like I guess quote unquote late bloomer. I'm very much someone who was like I feel like I have like a weird perennial chip on the shoulder where it's like I have to like prove myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like I come in with that like small dude energy where it's like, all right, no one is taking me seriously when I was like growing up. So like I kind of have to like work a little harder or to kind of like figure out a way to be like, okay, this is how I know that they have acknowledged that.
It's
Like
extraneous. It's extreme
yeah, it's not
energy.
good. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. It's like someone called it instantly. It's like, yeah, you like being well liked. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely a thing. That's definitely why I like to do fucking stand up, dude.
But liking being well liked, or seeking being well liked, will also, the other flip side of that is, you'll have moments where you're like, oh shit, does everyone in this group chat hate me because I spelled this word this way? Damn,
Totally, totally.
shit, they must really hate me. Now every fucking time I interact with this guy, he's not gonna respect me because I did that thing. I need to be, you know what I mean? Like, so then it's like that pushes you into a performative space.
Yeah, I mean, dude, sucking the air out of a group chat with your boys. That's just like that's triggering. I don't even want to think about that, you know. And like even now, like that'll occasionally happen, or I'm just like, damn, just took an L. Don't want to really go back to that group right now. Thankfully, this is kind of funny too. Is like I've had an Android for the past like 7 8 years, and I just got the iPhone again because my girlfriend convinced me. So like now I'm actually invited back to group chats because like
So
before no one wanted me before, so now it's kind
back
of nice.
then they didn't want me. Now I've got an iPhone. They're all on me.
Apple gang, bro. I'm all about these little fucking toothpaste things, toothbrush things. I don't know.
Man,
They're not even that comfortable, but you know, they're stylish. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, we were talking. What I forgot what episode this was. We're talking about like Moore's law. You know Moore's law, where it's
Moore's
like
Law.
the future technology exists today. It's just a lot more expensive. So the people that are going to do the investment to buy the future technology now are going to monopolize the market in the future with that technology as it becomes mass produced, because they're going to control the channels of it because they understand it 5 years ahead of time. You know what I
Okay.
mean? So
Oh,
it's
the
like,
algorithm.
yeah, yeah. So like with iPhones and stuff like that, you know, it was future technology at one point because of how intuitive it was,
Oh yeah,
right?
totally,
So it's like
totally.
it just because it's intuitive and it's user friendly and you could figure out the
Very user
shit
friendly.
if you could figure out the shit however old you are, unless you're older
Yep.
than 45, and then it's just like it's fucking foreign. But like droids were just not user friendly, but they're always better technology, higher capability, more storage, more third party compatibility,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
able to do all sorts of things, but you got to figure out how to use a language, right? So it's like that's the future technology currently, those the
Yeah.
droids, but investing not necessarily more money to buy a droid, but more time and knowledge into it will let you understand how to use these personal devices more so in the future, because the iPhone way of using it doesn't really have anywhere to evolve to. It's only going to devolve into being more simple. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
exactly. Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
So,
like, I remember I was like going to get it, and initially, what I had in mind was like, I'm getting the Pixel 5 because I've had a Pixel for the longest time. And I talked to the sales guy, and he's like, "Look, man, I just switched from Pixel to iPhone because like this, blah blah blah." And he could kind of sense my like hesitation, and he like looked at me with the mask, like his eyes were meeting my eyes, like it's like he was like hurt in a way because he's like, look, like buck for buck, iPhone is like the better phone, and the thing with iPhone now is like it's the ecosystem. It's like so many people have it, and I'm like, I get that, man, and I'm like, I ended up getting obviously the iPhone, but like I could see for some reason he's like, I know what you're gonna feel. You're gonna hate it for a couple of days, and I kind of did for a couple of days. Now I've kind of gotten over it. It's not that big of a deal, but like that was the thing with Android. It was like, yeah, it was had those other crazy things, and at that point I was like, I want to have that because it's like my own personalization on it. You know what I mean? Like everyone's on their phones all the time, so like I want to have like some sort of like my own twist on this. And I will say this though, how I managed to like at least handle some sort of like dating in New York with a green text phone, like I do applaud myself. When I texted my girlfriend when we first met on a dating app, I texted her from my work phone, which was an iPhone. So she thought I had an iPhone when we met, and then like the first thing I brought up was like, "Hey, by the way, that's my work phone, so don't text me anything on that." And I have green text, so luckily that worked out. But I took a huge fucking risk, and like I just can't imagine if she like ended up like sending like
I
sex to
took
like
a
my work
huge
phone, dude.
fucking risk coming out of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
closet as an Android user.
yeah. Bro, for real, dude. There's no comparison. He's not a good fit. He doesn't communicate well. That's like basically
An
what it is.
Android.
Yeah. No, I mean it's fun now to be part of the group chats, but yeah, I mean now Android, I'm a people pleaser because everyone who I text now, they're like, "Oh my god, dude, congrats on getting an iPhone." And I'm like, all right, that's who I am, bro. I'm a people pleaser. You know, you know.
Yeah, people pleasing because you know you're scared of rejection, so you'll do every single thing to mitigate the chances of it happening.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've been like fired like 4 times, man, and the lobbyist firms were included.
Yeah.
And that was always because I paid a lot more attention to comedy. But yeah, it's when you get fired, you're like, oh my god, I let someone down. No, no, you're just heartbroken, heartbroken over it.
As
Um,
opposed to no, I don't. I'm better. I don't need y'all anyways.
yeah, I mean, this is that where that happened, and I think the funniest part is that I've actually managed to maintain my employment during record, like numbers of unemployment because of this pandemic. So
That's a win. That's a
that's a
huge
win, huge win in my book, huge
win.
win.
Huge win. A huge win in a lot of books.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good time to transition to first segment. Tokenized or fetishized? I want you to give us a story, an anecdote, a personal anecdote where you were either tokenized or fetishized or both, and explain what those mean in that context.
Sure. So New York dating. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe in the past couple of years. So I was dating this one girl, and on the app, it was on Hinge, and she had this thing that said, "You should not go out with me if you don't think that Israel's a terrorist state." She's like Israel's a terrorist state. It's like a white girl, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I wouldn't put that in a dating profile. That's like a pretty broad statement. Um, so I went out with her, and you kind of clearly tell, I think, that she was like a little into brown guys, like she'd study abroad there.
She is right.
And no, she was white. She's like a white girl. No, white Christian girl. And I remember, so I was like at her apartment in Colombia, and her
Of
friend
course,
was,
Colombia.
yeah, right. Yeah. This is the best part, dude. This is anti-Semites at Ivy League schools. So like I'm at her apartment and her roommate's there, and I like bring up the fact that she has that on her dating profile to her roommate, and her roommate just laughs it off. She's like, "Oh yeah, she doesn't like Jews," and he just started laughing, and she's like, "Oh my God, why would you say that?" And I was like, "This is kind of fucked up. That's a little fucked up." And then like when we were like sleeping together, I slept with her, yeah, obviously. And I have a tattoo. It's in Farsi. It's like on my arm. I noticed a lot that she would like glimpse at it a little bit, and that's fine. I guess that's probably
Oh,
like a little bit of
it's
like a,
like the writing on the One Ring.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She's like, "Oh my God, my precious," it's like, so that's maybe one example. But then I think another one was like I was like sexting with this girl, and she knew I was like Kashmiri, so she was like, "Well, next time like we hook up, can you like speak Kashmiri to me?" And I'm like, she's like, "I won't have a clue." And I'm like, I mean, neither will I, honestly. Like the things I can ask is like, "What's your name?" and like, "What do you want in your tea?" and "What do you want in your chai?" Like that's literally the two things I can
Where is the library?
ask her. Yeah. Yeah, ¿dónde está la biblioteca? That doesn't sound Kashmiri. Cállate, cállate. Silencio, por favor. Yeah. But dude, I mean, like, those are two examples, and like, both of them white women, and
Yeah.
but here's the thing,
Fetishized.
fetishism, yeah. And here's the thing now, it's like when you look back on that, you're like, okay, you kind of at least leaned into it. You know what I mean? You're like, I'm okay with it because like at the time you're like, it's working out for me. So, but then when you look back on it, you're like, yeah, okay, we were kind of, I think like there was an era, and it's still going on. Brown people are definitely a little more in kind of like a sex symbol status, and a little more of a sexier status because of like people like Hassan and like Riz and like Zayn. So I think like maybe that's helped, but you know, yeah, you can appreciate the tokenization or the fetishization when you're getting your dick wet. I think sometimes. So it's like ultimately, if you're getting laid, are you gonna really ask questions? I think you get laid, then you ask questions later, right?
Sure. I mean, I guess yeah, sure, you ask questions later. I mean, if that's your goal and if that's the thing, if that's what you construe as the win, or if it is really a competition or whatever, or if it's like that's the pushback against the fetishization or whatever, or like how do you really, because the thing is like, okay, sure, yeah, you get laid, or you get a whole relationship, or you benefit materially somehow, but what's to say about the priceless, in that you can't put a number on it, uh forceful or coerced reckoning of self-identity and value of identity when you're fetishized, and having to justify it with like, well, I got mine.
Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
got I got out of my transaction. I
Right,
got,
right.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
did you get yours, or were you transgressed against, and now your survival mind has to compartmentalize it and push it away?
I think what it taught me is like when those things happen, I was never one to like take that person sort of seriously in how I would like maybe pursue them in like a romantic sense. You know what I mean? They were just
Yeah.
solely for fucking, and like I would definitely say that like I had a proverbial chip on the shoulder for like fucking like white girls for the longest time because like you get rejected by them in high school. So like when you kind of are like not emotionally connected to them and they say shit like that, then you're like, okay, that's great. I'm glad that you can almost like, put that
Oh,
barrier between us.
it allows you to extricate yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, like, well, I didn't never considered you really kind of like maybe material in the first place. That's never happened. I've definitely dated white girls who have never done that. I won't say that, but like, there's been hookups where it's clearly like, on the surface. So
But
yeah, I
there's
mean,
also, okay, now tell me if this is a stretch.
yeah,
There's also this element to that of, you know, I am being reduced and I'm being dismissed by, things I can't control, by your fetish for my appearance, right? I'm being reduced to that, and you're already holding yourself in a superior position to me. So me reacting in that, yeah, this was never an emotional thing for me to you, or like, this is not the thing I wanted. Me reacting like that is also my way of self-defense and protecting my emotions from actually admitting that, shit, my vulnerability was taken advantage of, or I feel like my vulnerability was taken advantage of.
yeah, yeah,
No, right? Because it's like, yo, fuck that, I got one over, I got my rocks, you
yeah,
know
yeah.
but really it's just like, yo, bro, I was viewed as less than human.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, I was like sort of like
And like,
objectified in a
yeah,
different
and
way.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
inherently from all the interactions, I was subhuman.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
an accessory,
I mean,
right?
I'll just say even in the Desi community, man, because like my girlfriend's Pakistani. As soon as they found out I was Kashmiri, everyone was hyped. Everyone wanted a Kashmiri, bro. So I'm just a flavor that some people need. I'm that scratch. I'm that itch that people need to scratch sometimes, But
Yo, you're
no, I mean, like,
Kashmiri. You're Kashmiri. Look at these internet speeds. I got 5G on my phone. What do you have?
dog,
Oh,
that's
shit,
so funny
bad.
because
That's
like
bad.
I no, it's funny because like I had a clip that was like talking about Kashmir,
Yeah.
and audio captioned it. It was great, but it like some of these like Kashmiri groups, like the volunteer groups and like their like social justice groups, they shared it and like it like went kind of viral in Kashmir, as viral as it could, if that makes sense, right? Because they don't have any fucking internet. So like it's really funny sometimes. Like I'll just
And
see I lose.
there was some dude driving around in a cart with an iPhone showing everybody
Yeah, 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 right. It's like you don't get that little like sort of like share icon on
getting past
Instagram, and he's
all the
like,
fucking checkpoints where they're asking him for his papers.
no, dude, he like VCR'd my shit and like sent it over, and like that's definitely like being sold as like a mixtape like on the streets with the goats and shit. But like he, I think like it was cool to see that happen. But yeah, I mean, as like a joke, I'm like saying like Kashmiri is maybe fetishized even in India for their lighter skin. So like
Oh,
it's
for
just
sure, bro.
yeah, for
You remember
sure,
that
yeah,
movie
yeah.
Fizza?
Fizza,
Yeah, with
I'm
Hrithik
just catching
Roshan,
up.
where he
Oh, that's Mission
he put
Impossible or Mission Kashmir, Mission
Mission
Kashmir.
Kashmir. But
Yeah,
Fizza was also in Kashmir, right?
I haven't seen
Or
Fizza,
and maybe
so
not. Okay, fine, fine. I'm talking about Mission Kashmir, anyways. Whatever. Fuck.
yeah,
What
yeah,
was this?
yeah,
But
yeah,
no,
yeah.
no. It was called Fizza in different markets. No, but no,
Yeah, I was
it
gonna
definitely
say
was. But yeah, no, Mission Kashmir, bro. Hrithik Roshan played a Kashmiri because I think
he's light
he has
skinned. He's
different
got
color, and
yeah,
he's got different color
yeah,
eyes, right?
yeah, definitely,
And
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
it's definitely an absolute thing of fetishization, where it's like, yo, Kashmiris have that different look that we're insecure about or whatever, and the grass is greener kind of bullshit.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, if I'm being fetishized by Daisies and white people, it's like, all right, well, I don't know. It's like both angles here. Who else is gonna just look at me for who I am? That's why it was like hard to like get with the Kashmiri girl because they're just like, we're both wanted by other people. Why do we want to be each other?
yeah, you're too plain.
Yeah,
But then it's just like one of those things. It's like, sure, being very desired and fetishized, and you're inherently going to get the benefit of the doubt if you're fetishized and you're being put in a position to be able to manipulate somebody for your material benefit because you're being fetishized. But then
yeah,
also, it is incredibly reductive, right? You're gonna have to feel a certain way when you're being fetishized for things that aren't necessarily your identity. You live a whole life having a million thoughts a minute, and those thoughts and those opinions are the things that define you. And then the minute somebody is just like, oh yeah, the vehicle that's delivering these thoughts, that's really what I'm seeing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't.
I mean,
like your
Well,
opinion on things doesn't really matter more than your face on things.
yeah. What I would say is just like whenever that shit kind of like happened, I would always just be like, all right, this has kind of like been the exact dichotomy of what I grew up with, where it was like you grow up with a very predominantly white community where it's like white girls want nothing to do with you, or like anyone you're not attracted, you're not even being told that you're attractive, and then when you come here, and I'm not even saying it's just like white women who are fetishizing me, like other races have fetishized brown dudes too. It's like a thing, um, but to have that sort of like when you're like growing up, and then when you're at this peak where you're like in your early 20s, where like everyone in New York is just like horny, then like you're like, okay, like what's my animal instinct to do? You know, what's the primal instinct to do this? You know what I mean? Like it's almost like it's a short term, very much like gain in that aspect of it. And I think now at this point, I definitely learned. You know what I mean? Like I don't really necessarily have that sort of like interest in my mind now, where it's like, oh, I'm okay with this person sort of like fetishizing me. Like I had one guy recently. He was like, "Your name is very interesting." Bassam Shawl. Like, you have a very interesting name. Like, what's your background? I'm like, "Well, like the first name is Arabic, the last name is Persian. My family's from Kashmir, and the guy's last name is Führer, like Fuh. Yeah, it's like the Führer." I'm like, "Bro,
Capitalized
you,
FU.
yo, bro, yo, you got an interesting name, man. You know what I mean? Like, you got an interesting name. I'm more curious to hear about what your ancestors were up to, bro. Like I'm just."
Was his first name mine?
It was Mimi. Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, this is my whole thought process on it now. I was like, I've definitely have seen it happen from so many different angles that like it doesn't necessarily anger me now. It's more of just like, okay, this is a person who, like, in the back of my mind of how I interact with them, I have to consider this. You know?
Yeah. I mean, as you grow older and you realize a lot of things are incredibly transactional in nature, and you are aware of the nature of how you're being perceived, then of course you can look at everything in a practical context,
Yep.
and and just kind of operate and move and groove. And I mean, and kind of put off, or having already processed those questions of identity.
Yeah, and I would say that, like, in terms of identity, I think growing up, I was very much confused with it. Now, I think now it's very much something I'm very conscious of. I guess I don't know. I'm just like saying, like, I'm a lot more comfortable who I am now. So like when those things maybe happened before, maybe I was feeling like a little like weird about it, and like had some like weird thought to it. But I think once you kind of grow out of it, I remember like I went to CES for my job in Vegas, and there was a guy who was an Indian dude, South Indian dude, who'd come to my show at the Lantern, and he mentioned he was going to be at CES too, so we like linked up. And he's Australian, really cool dude, and we're like talking for a little bit, and like I find out he's like basically going to get engaged to like his Indian girlfriend, and like that's great, man. Like like Indian, that's really crazy. He's like, yeah, man, like you just grow out of the good thing, you grow out of it, you mature. And he was like a year older than me, and I was like at that time I'm like, okay, interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. And then flash forward to where I am now, it's completely like I feel the exact same way that guy was thinking. You know what I mean? Like I've taken my girlfriend to meet my parents, the first girlfriend ever. I've taken her to meet my parents. She was hanging out with my cousins. My cousins loved her so much that she got invited to my cousin's like Mandy. You know what I mean? And like it's like basically in the wedding at that point because it's like COVID. There's like not that many people there. And then she came down for Thanksgiving. So that's like I would not think about doing that with anybody else at this point. Um, but then, I met her parents in Milwaukee, and her parents fucking love me. They're like, you fit in so easy. You're just like one of us. And like, that is such a nice peace of mind. You know what I mean? And like, what my
It's like,
girlfriend has kind of been through too, like her experiences, I think have been like very similar to mine, where we like grew up white essentially, and then we like go through college, and then we go through like living in New York, where we kind of become a lot more aware of like who our identity is in this world, how do we interact with like multicultural environments and settings, what interests us like artistically, culturally, all of that. Both of us thankfully align on that, and we come from a very similar background, so it's just like the perfect match. I don't think I would have gotten that maybe with a lot of other people. So I know for a fact that like that's something when I was in terms of like talking about dating, that's what I wanted to after the pandemic hit, because like after the pandemic, everyone's like, I need a boo ASAP, dog. You know, that shit was so lonely, man. That shit was so fucking lonely. But yeah, I think that's the way I see it now. It's like where I think I was giving into like being fetishized. I was getting into like, you know, being tokenized when it came to like the dating game. And then now I think I've evolved from it where I don't need that shit anymore.
Yeah. And just as an aside, um, that'd be an incredible name for a new rapper in the ASAP crew, ASAP Boo.
ASAP boo. I need
Yeah,
a boo ASAP. Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a good one. That's gonna be the like that next like R&B like Jeremiah, you know.
ASAP Boo. He does the
Yeah.
R. He's the R&B wing of the ASAP organization.
Yeah. The soft mumble R&B. I'll say
He's your ASAP Boo. He's the he's the method man to ASAP Crew's Wu-Tang Clan.
that. And he'll still be in Def Jam fight for New York and be one of the weakest ass fighters in that game.
Yeah, man. So like, okay, being Kashmiri.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah. Talked about this a lot, you know, but
Yeah, no,
yeah, yeah.
I know, and I'm not gonna exhaust it because I know you also have material out there for people to talk about. But let's see if we can just flesh out a little bit for people that might be listening. So, being Kashmiri, all this shit the last year, couple of years, you know, the BJP in India and just the fucking, you know, rise of Kashmiris.
My boy Modi. Yeah. I love me that Guju, man.
I
That Guju
wanted to make
Chaiwala.
I had this shirt that I made, or this design that I made, and I shared it with some people, but they I don't know if they liked it or not. But I made the Modi. I took a Modi picture and I turned him into like I did the pastel colors like they did with that Obama Hope picture, where it's
Yeah.
red and blue, and I made him like
Yeah.
green and orange, and I put
Nice.
nope in the
Nope.
most similar, right, in the most similar font that I could find. And I tried to share it around. Some people liked it. A lot of people hated it.
So it's interesting, like before the pandemic hit, there was this thing at Baby's All Right in Williamsburg, and this guy from Chicago, Arish Singh, he's like a Punjabi Sikh, and the event was called like Fuck Modi, straight up, just called Fuck Modi, and like a lot of people weren't very comfortable initially like being I think involved in the flyer or like you know directly being involved because it was like that big of a statement. And this is so interesting too, man, because like I mean I fucking hate the guy obviously, but like it's so interesting to see like other people from like different subgroups of India to be like, dude, this guy is a fucking asshole. But then most of Indians, and I get it, I understand why he's popular, but most Indians really fuck with this guy, and because he has that cult of personality, he really
Yeah.
does. He has that Hitler, like sort of like you know Mussolini. He's got that charisma. He's got that backstory. You know, like
He's
his
got the nice
facial.
Santa beard.
Yeah, the Santa beard. I was gonna say, dude, he's got some nice like Warby Parkers going on, dude. Like you know, his kurta is always very like pressed and seen. Like he's for real. He's fresh.
And
I
he
got it.
got an incredible rags to riches curated narrative about him
Yeah,
being a chaiwala. Chaiwala means a tea servant, servant of tea on train platforms.
teabagger. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I guess he did that as a kid, but really, was it? I don't even know the
All I
details.
know is like you know, Slumdog Millionaire. It's got nothing on Narendra Modi, but like this guy basically like he could start his own TV show. Like if there's that TV show How to Make It in America, his TV show could like just be like How to Make It in India because he clearly just fucking did that. But being Kashmiri, yeah, I'll say since like 47, it's been kind of like whatever shitty. But my family, it's like my dad's side is very much like involved in politics, and then like my mom's side is a little more kind of like involved with like the judiciary system and kind of has some political, you know,
Yeah,
aspirations as well. So like growing up, they were always involved with like that whole shitstorm going on there, and like the '90s militancy was like pretty bad for a lot of people in Kashmir. Uh, Most of the time, you know, 47 happened. I remember I did a show. Only Got Misha had a show, and it was for like a very pro BJP group, and they were serving beer there, and the beer was like 1947.
Yo,
It's
I
called
shot that
1947.
show.
You shot that show? Yeah, yeah, you were there. Yeah, you shot that show, right? Yeah, so yeah, I did that show. Yeah, exactly. I remember that you took the shows afterwards, right? So they were serving 1947 there, dude, right? And then the guy, I look at the 47. I'm like, oh yeah, 1947. That's partition. And the guy looked at me dumbfounded. He's like, independence, bro. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't really consider it that, you know. So that's like my, I guess like that's
Was
like
that
a short
before or
story.
after the blood trains?
No, that was before fucking, the British got their asses involved, dog. It was like the Muhajirs and
Oh,
everything.
independence.
Independence, beer, hey, Kingfisher, yeah. But fucking, that would summarize maybe my experience as like a Kashmiri. It's like I don't really fuck with being called an Indian that much, but technically it is true. Um, I have family there. Like this is how like India is really fucked over a lot of parts of my family. They actually tried to steal my like parents and my grandparents like homes there recently because they like made this argument that it was like acquired illegally, but it
Oh, like
wasn't.
eminent domain.
Yeah, exactly. So they were trying to steal like our like houses that we've had in our family for like maybe like 50, 70, 80 years. And like our family has been in that like valley, the Kashmir Valley, like since Nam. But like it's really frustrating because it's not, I guess, a very sexy issue. There's no oil there, but fucking there's a lot of BJP sort of like rhetoric that's very easy for other people to understand. They're Muslim, they're terrorists, like they are funded by Pakistan. So that political situation just sucks because there's so many different parties and agendas there. And I remember like when a year ago when like Article like 370 and 35A were revoked, that means like people outside of Kashmir can buy land in Kashmir and we lose our autonomy. I remember when that happened, like my cousins and my families like started like this like NGO nonprofit. It was called Stand with Kashmir. And we like went to like a lot of rallies that we started ourselves and like piggybacked off of like other like anti-India rallies. We like went to the UN, but then like all of these like Pakistani people would show up and they would like show the Pakistani flag and like Kashmir is part of Pakistan. And then you have like Kashmiri Hindus who are very pro India because of like they've like have like a lot of injustice that's like happened against them in the 90s. So like they're also like very like anti like free Kashmir stuff. And then like obviously you just have like the Indian fans,
It's like
right?
white
So
girls taking the Me Too movement.
yeah. Except like brown dudes and not any deodorant really being used. But I remember like there was a
But
protest
pussy
at the
hats
Washington.
nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah, you definitely wearing those pink hats. Yeah, and then they have Modi as like a fucking pin on them. But I remember like there was like a protest at the Washington Post when this all shit happened, and like to like be symbolic about like what was happening in Kashmir, like we like put duct tape on our mouths and we like held up signs like outside the Washington Post. Like meanwhile, like there was like an Indian counter protest there where like they were like basically like like screaming at us, like they were like saying like all this like like antagonistic shit. And then these Pakistani uncles come, they don't respect what we're doing with the whole like mask thing. They start chirping back at the Indian people. They start like almost like getting like yelling and like fighting match. And we're like, dude, this completely defeats the point of what we're trying to do. So like
Sounds like a South Park episode.
yeah, dude, for real. Yeah, it's really like like the shittiest like wrist board situation of all time. You
It's
just
like
get
having
like
the Westboro Baptist Church on both sides.
yeah, dog, it's not fun. And like like uncles too, man. Like they're just like the worst people to like ration with, or reason with. Especially when it comes to this, they're like, you don't know, you weren't there, you didn't step on another person while
The
you were
most
running away.
problematic uncles, now here it is. Here's your scientific breakdown. The most
Yeah.
problematic uncles, all they have left to traffic in is perceived experience and age, right? They
Yeah.
stop learning after they get their professional degrees.
Yeah, they developed their voice. They found their voice. They don't
They
need to. Yeah.
stop learning after they learned how to adapt to whatever comfortable environment they're in, and they've
Mhm.
stayed there. They fucking stop. The only thing they're learning now is getting satellite TV and watching soap
ZTV.
operas. Yeah.
ZTV. Yeah.
Soap operas
Um,
that poison their minds, that are written by 30 somethings that are phoning it in because they have a formula and they need to crank out 26 minutes of content, 8 of which is actual dialogue. and plot points, right? Every day. And that's what they do. And then these uncles are stuck on it and they model all of their knowledge about the world based off of these tight fictional constructs that are heightened for interpersonal drama. And they get
Yeah.
to lord over you their life experiences, which are really just opinions that are formed by these uh,
Media
serials,
personalities. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Media
yeah,
personalities
yeah.
that are
Yeah.
Trojan horsed in this
Mhm.
package of this is my experience. This is my
Yeah.
world experience. You don't understand. This is my world experience.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, there's definitely brown Uncle Fox News. I mean, like, what, Fox Jeep News? Like, what do you want to call it? I mean, like, what, like Fox? No, the Sikhs are great. I
I
wouldn't
think it's
want to.
called
Yeah,
Aj
yeah.
Stuck.
Odd stuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
All I know is that the Kashmir situation looks pretty fucked, and it's really sad. And I think I don't have there's no general animosity I ever grew up with because like they always try to make this like a Muslim Hindu thing. I never had any fucking animosity towards like Hindu people at all. Like if I do it, it's like very much in jest because they're wrong. But I like that's Kashmiri Hindus are like basically like I have like a lot of friends who are Kashmiri Hindus and like we have like group chats together. We never like ever explicitly bring this shit up. But
Yeah.
I know our parents are not on the same page and like
There's
that
like
whole
a in those group chats. There's like a nice like a
yeah, no, yeah,
fine
we
line
yeah.
of control.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yeah, it's like it's just an unspoken blood bond that's really formed. But yeah, it's just all NBA memes and that kind of shit. But like we never talk about it. I think our parents have definitely have held on to that history. But I think, whatever generation that we start with now, like, American Daisies, we don't have that, baggage that, our parents have when it came to like partition and all that bullshit. But
Yeah.
I mean like it's weird because like I really like going to Kashmir, but like it's never going to be a good situation now where it's like I want to almost like I want to take a vacation there as soon as I can, but like the situation there is like just so terrible. And like what's terrible about it is like there's all these young people there. They don't see any hope, so they leave Kashmir. So then it's just like a huge brain drain. So like that place is like never really going to be popping because like people know that it's never going to like actually lead to anything. And like the argument now is that like, oh, now that this can be actually part of India, it'll like get some of India's like economic success. Like that's complete dog shit. It was just
Oh, like trickle down.
yeah, trickle down. Like they'll invest in like the movies that are being shot there and tourism. It's like no, dude, like you piss these people off enough. You've never been there for
We're
them,
gonna
and
send
you
Hrithik Roshan back.
yeah, dude, I want a Mission in Impossible Kashmir, and I want Tom Cruise to be able to film there with Hrithik Roshan for his character
Right.
from Mission
And I
Kashmir.
want him not to yell at any of the staffers. No.
Yeah, Tom Cruise, dude, what a fucking nut, man. Yo, the fact that he's able to just do this at like 60, man, good for him. Him and like Shah Rukh Khan need to have like a team up movie at some point,
Holy
right? That has to be like a rush.
shit.
That has to be like a rush hour. That would be the biggest box office
Holy
draw,
shit.
right?
Tom Cruise and Shah Rukh
Shah
Khan
Rukh Khan.
doing any team up
That
with
was that's better than
whatever
Batman vs
studio
Superman.
produces that.
Yeah.
Whatever studio produces that, if it's not Disney, will be the new Disney.
Will be the new Disney. I think it's just the new Batman versus Superman. So I think Warner Brothers needs to hop on this shit, dog, or like get like J.J. Abrams involved, get some like weird like sort of like science genius, and he'll like fucking like put these two universes together, dog. That would be a mind blowing thing. And here's the thing
Okay,
that's
you
also
just
kind
said
of
okay. I just want to bring up this one thing.
what,
It
yeah,
has absolutely nothing to do with this episode or anything, but
yeah,
there's this comic Diego Lopez.
yeah. I love you.
He had
Great.
great. He had a tweet today that's just really funny talking about when he was a waiter and he's like he's serving J.J. Abrams and he went up to him. He was like,
No, Bill Hader. Bill Hader.
no. It was a later tweet on the thread.
Oh, okay,
And he was like,
yeah.
he was serving J.J. Abrams, and it was like, so I go up to J.J. Abrams, and I see who's obviously J.J. Abrams. Whatever, you can read the tweet.
Yeah,
Who's obviously J.J. Abrams? And I read the card, and I'm like, oh, J.J. Abrams as a director, and he's like, and he says no,
yeah.
which makes me really like J.J. Abrams now.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that dude is. I mean, I loved Lost, but it's just so funny. His work is like, oh, I'm gonna start it off real hot, and I'm never gonna finish. You know what I mean? His pre cum is like the best thing that he does when it comes to media, and then he
J.J.
like
Abrams is Synecdoche, New York. That movie.
yeah. Oh, dude, I fucking hate Schenectady, dog. Don't ever bring that shit. That horse racing fucking town. Fuck that
Wait, are you talking
noise.
about the town or the movie? I'm talking about the movie with Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Schenectady? No, I don't know.
There's a movie.
Like,
Oh yeah, Synecdoche, New York, with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and it was written by
really?
Charlie Kaufman, and it was I think it was directed by Paul Thomas Anderson, if I'm right. It was like it was a long one, and it was just about this dude that's a playwright that's really like a perfectionist, and then he wins the MacArthur grant, and then he spends like 4 decades writing and producing his play, and the actors have whole ass lives, and they can't separate reality from, it's the whole thing. It's like perfectionist never fucking output. I think is
So
the way.
that was what episode 7 was supposed to be like, actually. Yeah, Star Wars. No, maybe. All right, I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, maybe.
Maybe
I think he was trying to make it poetic with it, like,
JJ.
yeah. And I mean, I get it. Like, I think that, like, with Star Wars, and okay, I'm not like a Star Wars, but okay,
I'm a
I
huge Star
watch a
Wars
lot
guy.
of Star Wars videos, whatever. But yeah, I think the thing was like J.J. Abrams did episode 7, and I'm sure he had like a whatever vision for it to mirror the original trilogy, and then they brought on a
No,
different
yeah,
director to do the next.
It was so bad, dude. The Mandalorian is clearly the best Star Wars that's come out.
But yo, I've been reading all the forums and shit. And the Mandalorian is just like everyone's like, yo, okay, yeah, this guy Dave Filoni and John Favreau are
They're
basically
great.
retconning. Well, they're retconning all of the inconsistencies between the sequel trilogy and the original trilogy. And it's like, okay, yeah, this is kind of cool, because like the Clone Wars filled in the gaps between the the prequel trilogy and okay, I gotta
Yeah,
stop
yeah.
talking about. I gotta stop talking
I
about.
was like, dude, I mean, like, I love all of the Star Wars shit that you're saying. I play like video games about Star Wars.
Okay,
Like,
for
watch
real.
all
Okay,
of it.
yo,
Yeah,
bro,
we'll
did
talk
you
about it. We'll talk
cry?
about it
Did
later.
you
We'll talk
cry?
about it later.
Oh, no.
Yeah. We're gonna watch. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. This is the way. This is the way.
If you want to find out what question I was asking about when you
Patreon episode. Yeah. Patreon Star Wars episode right
that's
now.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh man, no, yeah, that's dope. But okay,
You get the you got the
large
story.
fictional, universes that are commercial behemoths and trying to find your way into those organizations. How does Bassam become
Yeah.
an MCU superhero?
Dude, that'd be kind of cool. I was really trying hard to get into Ms. Marvel because I actually read that comic a lot. Specifically when I was in Turkey, I bought a lot of this because it's a good story. 16-year-old Pakistani girl in Jersey. It had like a very much like a Spider-Man vibe to it. She was like keep that shit secret. So when I found out that they were making it, I have a cousin who is like a DC like lobbyist sort of like power broker, and she has like weird connections like with like the entertainment industry. So I reached out to her. She didn't really figure out anyone that could get that situation going, but that would be really fucking cool. I mean, I love all of those Marvel movies, all the Star Wars movies, because like I'm a huge fan of all that shit. As far as like getting into them, like I gotta get into better shape, and I don't know, like move to fucking LA at this point because I'm trying to at least like find a way to get into that position where I could like fucking be a superhero.
Man,
Kumail, good for
yeah,
Kumail, dog. I
Kumail,
mean,
dog.
like, dude, like fucking Eternals. That's like a great role, and I think he's gonna play like a Bollywood dude who's like been disguised for a long time. But like,
Fuck, he's Johnny
yeah,
Cage.
I don't know. He's Kingo. That's his name of his
Oh no, I meant
yeah. For Mortal Kombat, yeah. Finish. Yeah. Yeah, so like the fact that he's doing that, that's great. I'm like really excited. And then like I like watched like the Sound of Metal recently. Like it's cool to see like Riz Ahmed doing all of that.
I've been told I need to watch that.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. So like anytime I can like hop into like those roles, I would love to do that shit. I just like fucking need the opportunity. And I think that's one of the reasons I got into stand up was just like, all right, I want to eventually be in that kind of position. I never figured I would be like the guy like writing the stuff. But if I am writing something on the way, that's a good sign that at least like I know what I'm doing with my own voice and for audiences. So if maybe I have my own like sort of vision and I execute that, that could work out some sort of potential way. So
yeah, well,
it's like
6 months eating about 200 grams of protein a day and working out like 4
I've been
hours.
doing Peloton. I've been doing Peloton. Dog. I've been getting a lot better shape,
Bro, just
and I'm
get
waiting for
fucking
it.
jacked. Don't be on social media for 6 months. Get jacked, and then get some pictures taken of you shirtless and post those on social media, and maybe you get a Marvel job.
I think I need to be like a 16-year-old girl on TikTok if I want to get a Marvel job. So that's the way media operates now.
Let's talk about how media operates. What is your
Media
job?
operates.
Let's talk. Tell me your job first of all, because this is very fascinating.
Yeah, well, I have
Your
an
day job.
NDA. I have an NDA about what exactly the
Oh,
job
okay.
is, but it's
So,
social media. I'm a social media manager for a data company. Yeah, so
okay,
I have to work, on social media. Yeah,
for what company? Can you say
But, like a data company.
a data company? Okay. So what I know. Okay, not going to challenge the NDA or anything. Blah blah blah. What can you
Yeah.
talk about this field?
The field, all I know is that there's a lot of creativity involved, obviously, but there's a lot of experimenting. And then there's also, obviously, if you work for a big enough company, there's so many different agendas on what the external message is. And there's a balancing act that you have to do between what people want and what what will actually work on, like, a platform like LinkedIn or like Twitter, like Facebook or Instagram. So, like, weirdly enough, like, stand up has informed my job in that weird way where, like, I'm like, oh, this is how someone would react to this.
Yeah.
Um, so it's an interesting job. I like it actually, and I've had this the longest time I've had it. I was supposed to go to the Cannes Film Festival for my job, but COVID happened, so the Chinese just really fucking making me lose this year, man. But it's a job that it's in the media industry technically, so like that's kind of interesting. But it's funny, they didn't know I did stand up until I told them during the interview, and I just assumed because if you Google my name, which is a pretty unique name, like that's the first thing that'll come up. So they were like, "Oh, you do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they like looked me up, and then they're like, "Okay, we make him sign an NDA because we don't want any liability involved with this." So they like mentioned that specifically in like my offer letter. But you know, I don't mind the job. I would rather, obviously, if I could be like a TV writer, that'd be cool. If I could just like start doing anything on TV, that'd be obviously cool. But until then, like, if I'm trying to marry
Well,
this
yeah. I
chick,
mean,
I gotta have a job.
there's different. I mean, yeah, sure. But like, let's the job, the field. There's different skills that you build. Like, some of the biggest directors, spend a long time taking photos or directing commercials. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, totally,
it's
yeah,
one
yeah.
of those things. So it's like different things, like the Tiffany Haddish thing, right? Having
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's a huge thing, dude.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Being able to do a deliverable in a specific voice that's such a unique craft task that other people you're uniquely qualified in your team to do
yeah,
that, and you did it well, so you can deliver.
yeah,
That's one of those things, in your mind now you can deliver. Now, next job that's like that, you can deliver. Okay, take it out of the corporate world, and now it's in the independent short film world. You can deliver because you've been training on how to write in a voice. Okay, if it's more long form and artistic versus more short digestible commercial, that's code switching in your professional capacity.
yeah.
You're
Which
able to
we
do it,
all are good at. Yeah, which we
which
all, I
we
think, have
all
been.
are
Yeah, yeah,
inherently good at.
yeah. Especially, with brown people too. Just,
Yeah,
a lot of people just think they're like weirdly comfortable with us when they like kind of like break down like other races, dude. It's crazy.
insane.
Yeah. I mean, like, hey man, like I don't agree with that. I don't know.
Hey, bro, do you
But
agree with my eugenics?
yeah,
That's
and hey man, those Asians really fucking causing this problem, right? I'm like, hey man, I'm Asian, right?
more,
Um,
more of a neighbor to them
yeah,
than to you, buddy.
yeah, right. Like, hey man, China's helping out Pakistan, and Pakistan's trying to help out Kashmir. I kind of like China, right? I don't know, man. TikTok and Zoom, they've saved a lot of stuff. Go China, but yeah, I mean, the job is I'm very grateful to have it because it's given me opportunities like that. So can't take that shit for granted at all. Well, I will say though, it's nice because like if I didn't have this, the pandemic happens in New York. That's like the reason. Like, all right, I'm moving back with my parents. They try to convince me to go get my master's. They try to convince me to go to law school. Like, thankfully, this job at least kind of like throws that conversation out the window, and I still have the opportunity to pursue comedy a bit. The only thing that was kind of bad, at least like a year ago, when you like saw me in that really like shitty state, it was like I was burned out because it's like a 9 to 5 that like
Yeah.
actually does take a lot of creative energy out of you. And then from 5 to like midnight or whatever, like maybe I'm doing a show, maybe I'm barking, maybe I'm writing, I'm doing something comedy fucking related. But and then I go to bed. I have no time for like actually like working on like my own like, well-being, whatever. So that's the only bad the negative side of it. And when obviously the pandemic hit and I didn't have comedy, can focus a lot more on this job. And then when like shit like this comes up, like the Tiffany Haddish stuff, like that's when you're like, okay, sometimes it's worth it. You know what I mean? Like sometimes like you have this sort of like weird opportunity that comes out of nowhere that reminds you of like who you actually are. Because like when that shit came up, that was like I like sprung on that immediately. You know what I mean? Like because I that's the only thing that you have. It's like again, I don't feel that creative and fulfilled
Right.
with the
But
pandemic, right? So
let's say, and to tie a nice bow on this
yeah,
conversation, let's say that you're given this opportunity to write for Tiffany Haddish, which you were when you were
as a Black woman, I'm glad I can write for Tiffany Haddish. It's like great to have representation and work with one of my fellow sisters. It's like really interesting and humbling as a fellow Black Jew woman as
bro.
well.
You just undercut
Yeah.
the whole accomplishment right
Yeah. No, I mean
there.
it's
Come
cool. Yeah, go. No, absolutely.
no, not the bit. I'm talking about the accomplishment. No,
Oh, the accomplishment. Yeah.
no. The fact that you are so clearly a preppy brown guy to write in a voice for her and her
Yeah.
liking it and delivering it, right? That is a task. That is a
Sure.
hard task. You did it, you took it on. So let's say, now to put a nice bow on this conversation,
Let me do that.
let's say you're back. Let's say you're
From
back.
Brooklyn Santa. From Brooklyn Santa. I would
Brooklyn
always
Santa
want to.
himself
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
holidays, right? So back on the Dunning Kruger curve, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're given this Tiffany Haddish opportunity in this dip in your career where there's a low confidence and a lot of knowledge, like a year ago, right? When you
Yeah.
know that there's so much you don't know and you're very low confidence in the thing you're doing because the horizon is tiny and it's so far away.
Tiny.
So far away.
Tiny.
So when you're
Yeah.
given that opportunity, in your head, you're the only one that knows, yo, would I take this on now in this low confidence and potentially fuck it up? Or do I have enough confidence to take it on? So the fact, the timing of you being given the opportunity when things are moving well and you're getting back, you're chipping away and getting back your confidence slowly
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
curve, and you're given that opportunity at the right time and you're able to knock it out of the park is
Yeah.
different than if
No.
you're given the opportunity here and you probably would have thought, like, oh, she won't like this or this won't happen and this, and that would have like killed all the momentum.
Sure.
Or you wouldn't have been able to complete the task. You would have been Synecdoche, New York.
Yeah. Yeah. God damn, dude. Don't even know the movie. I'm gonna have to like watch it at some point because
It's
rest in peace
so
to
fucking long.
Oxymoron.
Just read the Wikipedia
I
plot.
thought people watching Bollywood movies, dude. I don't give a fuck about a long movie. I watched Wonder Woman the other day. That shit was trash. That was like 2 hours and 40 minutes. But
Oh man.
no, I see what you're saying. I mean, like, there's instances like this where it kind of like it was like in a weird like parallel universe where it's like I'm not obviously doing stand up every day, but I'm doing my job, and then I have that Tiffany Haddish opportunity come by. Then I have like that tweet blowing up. It's like almost like a weird like parallel universe telling me that like, hey, remind yourself that obviously you want to do this, you want to do the comedy aspect of it. So these are like weird signs, maybe from God, I don't know who, but are like
How
kind of at
many
least telling
more
me,
reminders do you need
yeah.
that you are
How many more reminders
seeking
do I
the
need?
wrong
Yeah,
way?
yeah.
You know,
So yeah, so I mean, like it's good to have that in mind. I'm very fortunate in that sense, but let's see if I can build on that. That's ultimately what it is. It's like, all right, in this sort of like environment where comedy now, like we don't know what the fuck it's gonna look like in the next 6 months. Like so many different ways of like TikTok, Sarah Cooper, all that shit. You know what I mean? Like so many different people have like, mastered a different craft and have gotten an audience in that way. So like, how do I at least build on the momentum that I have right now? I don't know. Let's see. That's kind of I'm excited for it because like now I'm like in a better place in comedy where it's like I'm actually gonna at least like not take this shit for granted and like I have the energy now where this is something I'm obviously have been passionate about, but like now I have like a renewed sense and purpose with it. And hopefully I can still be funny. I don't know.
So, 20-year-old Bassam, who's in college, getting exposed to all this new diversity, doing the campus marketing shit, and not understanding that he'll probably go into comedy, and because that at that point in time he thought he'd be a lobbyist, which he was for a few years. Um, what would you tell him?
I tell them, man, that like, first of all, DC and the US government fucking sucks. So like don't like try to like sort of like kiss the ass of like some like lobbyists and like, like important people who are like on the Hill of Congress. Because like they really don't have a soul, and there's not a lot of sort of like art and culture to these people. It's just very like simple minded like power and like greed and like getting over someone else and like mad petty and like dude fuck America's government. So I would say that first and foremost, I'm like, don't stand the U.S. government. Like, don't try to go into it thinking that they're like good people who are working in this industry. And then like, yeah, like I've I did like theater. Of course I did because I'm a fucking theater kid. I did like theater in high school, and like sketch a little bit in college and in high school. Um, Thankfully, never did improv. Wallahi to that, but I was always at least in that sort of field where like I like being on stage. And so I would tell myself back then, I'm like, yo, follow that instinct, dude. Start earlier. I wish I started earlier. And I'm thankful I started in DC, because if I started in New York, I'm not sure if I would have kept with it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have had the high confidence up here. You would have
Nah,
gotten
nah.
down fast.
Yeah. Dude, I would have, it was such a bitch slap. I loved it. It was such, I'm like a masochist now where it's like, oh, I really want it to be fucking like just like spit in my face. Cause like, I remember I was eating so much shit in New York and I was prepared to quit. And then I went to Denver randomly. And this is again, another weird active guy. I went to Denver to visit my friend, who I was like rooming together in college. And he like lived there, and we're going out to get a beer, and I'm telling him like, yeah, I don't know what I think about comedy, blah blah blah. And the bartender overhears me. He's a comedian. He tells me to go check out the Comedy Works in Denver, which is like the best club in Denver. They have a new talent mic. I sign up for the mic. They put me on for 5 minutes. I have a great set. Feel great. Get back to New York. I'm like, okay, I need to work harder. Kruger Dunning. I don't know what you want to call it, but that's an example of like, all right, I just need to at least overcome some sort of adversity. So if I beat COVID, bitch, I'm gonna fucking kill 2021, dog.
And to end the convo,
Yeah.
and how you're gonna kill 2021, and also my way of encoding in this conversation a way for you to keep yourself accountable. Tell me about what you are planning to work on, because I know it relates to an anecdote in your life. You don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, no, I'll talk about that. Yeah.
It relates to an anecdote in your
That's
life.
good.
And now, to keep
Yeah.
you accountable for actually producing the thing, now you have to talk about it here with the timestamp.
Sure. All right. So you talked about at least before the pod, like barking and all that. So I still do that occasionally. So
Barking, by the way, can you explain what that is to anyone?
sure. So for a comedy club, a lot of times to get on stage, you need to like stand outside the club and like encourage people who are like walking on the streets, like going to the club, highlight the drink specials, whoever's like on the stage, like blah blah blah. You get stage time from doing that. So I was doing that for the bar, the club for the Lantern, and the lead singer of the Killers walks by. I'm like right on like Bleecker and Sullivan, so it's like right nearby Chloe. And he's like, I recognize him. But I'm like, hey man, we got a comedy show. He's like, I'm going to the Cellar, comedy Cellar. So I'm like, okay, yeah, definitely go to the Cellar. But I was like, hey, a huge fan of the Killers. He's like, oh, thanks, man, appreciate that. 2 hours later, he sees me again. He asked me how my show was. That was really nice of him. I take a photo with him, and I'm like, hey, what are you in town for? He's like, we got this secret gig. I'm like, are you playing your new album? He's like, no, we're gonna play our older hits. And I'm like, oh, like indie rock and roll. It's like one of my favorite songs. And he's like, damn, dude, we haven't played that song in like a minute. So he's like, you want free tickets? So he gave me free tickets, like just like VIP tickets to a like Terminal 5 corporate after party for like Turner Broadcast Network. So there's like free food and like free booze. And I get to the front of the line, and I'm like with this girl that I'm seeing, and the usher looks at me. He goes like, yeah, Bassam Shawl. Oh yeah, you're with the band. Go ahead. And so we like just like cut the line, man. And like, yeah, it's an insane fucking party. Like there's like Adult Swim there, there's musicians there. It's like bonkers. So like that one night in New York, like I want to like write a movie about that and come at it obviously with like a little more different point of view. I think I would obviously still be a comedian in that sense. I like obviously want that to be the driving factor there. And I think maybe the angle is that the comedian works their day job, barks at night, needs that one big break. This killer's concert, he meets something that like can at least change his life for the better. So we'll see if I can write that hopefully by the end of this year. And I'm holding myself accountable because I've announced it on the
Is the
Return to
end of
Jules
the year?
podcast.
Is the end of the year really a reasonable?
No, never mind. I mean, like the end of 2021. Fuck, dude. Yeah.
No.
We're talking about-
I mean, at the end of 21. I feel like you could cut that down by 67%.
No, I'm sure I could, but let's just set this really, comfortable goal of
Why?
giving me.
Why are we
Why,
setting a
dude?
comfortable goal here?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see what shit comes
With
up,
all
but
this talk about this aggressiveness, and why are we setting a comfortable goal here?
You're right. All right, I will get it finished by the time there is a new COVID strain. So
No. Give me a month. Give me a month.
I don't know, man. We'll see. Maybe by hopefully July.
Okay, July is great.
Yeah. In theaters, July 2021.
Don't say hopefully.
Yeah.
No, I'm not in
Inshallah.
theaters. I'm
Yeah, I
talking
know,
about
I
you
know.
got a 120-page or 90-page script
Yeah,
ready, not the first draft, by July.
Inshallah to that. Inshallah to that. We'll see.
Right?
That'd be cool. So hopefully, and I'll definitely get Aziz to play me. So it'll be nice.
Would you? Why don't you just get Hassan? Well, actually, you should get Paul Elliott to play you, because I mean, it's kind of.
Oh, Paulie is so hot, dog. Holy shit. That would definitely sell tickets.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not a
You
bad
guys have
idea.
to. No, for real. Like, okay, I don't have like a relationship with him or wrong, but the first time
Yeah,
I
yeah.
ever met him, it was at and I was like shooting, and it was in the dark, right? And he was just standing here, and I was like, oh, "What's up?" I thought he was you,
That's
and
hilarious.
I was like, "Yo, what up, dog? Good to see you." And he's like,
Yeah.
"You're like, cool."
Yeah.
It's like, all right. I was like, all right, man. Are you really like?
His
Why are
bone
you being
structure-
weird here, dog? It's me, love. But I was being
we don't-
racist as shit because
It's
it
because
was-
everyone at hates you, love. So we had to cut off ties. We had to be like, hey man, we can't interact with love.
I mean, I
yeah.
can see some truth in that.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I'm totally beeping out the name
Joe-
of the club
Joe-
that we just
Joe-
said.
is gonna say that you're.
And I'm totally beeping out that name that you just said just now.
That's my dude. I love that guy. Yeah. So okay.
Same here,
Hopefully, hopefully July. That'll be a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dope.
Yeah,
Anything other than your accountable goal? Anything else? Plug. It's like 10 people watching.
If
Maybe.
you're watching,
Maybe by now, maybe one person watching, and it's my cousin.
follow me and tell all your cousins. Just follow me at Bassam Shawl, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, maybe YouTube. I don't know. And
You don't know. You have a YouTube?
I do have YouTube, yeah. And then whenever the pandemic's over, come out to Bromere, which is at the stand. We've had Bill Burr, we've had Gaffigan, we've had Tim Dillon. Those are all three brown guys who are great. No, but it's a good show. Come out. That's probably the two things I would leave the most.
Those are three guys who love to talk about brown issues. So
Yeah, no, they're very anti-BJP. They're all allies against that guy. Yeah. Yeah, you can make the argument because, Bill Burr, he looks Kashmiri. He's pretty fucking
I love
white.
Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Every time I'm just like,
it's like, yeah, I did the Indian comedy show.
Right.
I went to the stand, and I told the producer that they don't want a toxic white guy, and I'm like, no, he's like, get on stage, and I do okay. So yeah, that was.
That's really good.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Monday morning podcast.
People are no, like a lot of in comedy, hanging around comedy community, you see like all these older white comedians, and then you meet these older white comedians, and you're just like, oh man, you're just like meeting an older white person in Mississippi. You're gonna ask me the same questions, but I've never met Bill Burr. But like every time I want to categorize Bill Burr and be like, oh, he's probably he always like
he's a spicy white.
my perspective.
He's a spicy white.
Right,
he's a spicy
right.
White.
He always like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, no, I fuck with Bill Burr.
I fuck with Bill Burr.
Every time I want to hate Bill Burr, I'm just goddamn, I like it.
No, I'm really glad that I could say that Bill Burr did Bromere, and I don't think when I started out comedy, I don't think I would ever say that. So
that's
kind
insane.
of cool statement.
And that was before he dropped Baby Yoda.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. This is before he was a fucking from space Boston in the Mandalorian.
Okay, yeah. Follow at Bassam Shawl. Anything else? Plug? No.
No, I mean,
Any advice
love.
for people?
Advice. I don't know, man. Never let anybody ride your wave. That's all I'll say. Yeah, don't let anyone ride your wave, and do your wave. Do your own thing, man. You know, I think like I'm happy with the fact that I don't know. I have obviously this corporate job, but I'm only in New York because I want to do stand up. If I was not doing stand up, I don't think I would be in the city. But it's important to chase what you love, especially given everything that's fucking happened. And hopefully people get the opportunity to like do that when all this shit is over. So uh, go watch Waves. Go watch Waves by fucking A24. That changed my life. That's what I'll say to them.
While you're listening to Waves by Joey Badass.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah. Okay. All right, dope.
All right.
Good one. We're out.
Thanks for having me, love.
Yo, thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Check us out at returnthejewels.com or on social media at returnthejewels to watch more videos. You can subscribe right there, or you can watch a random video right here. Like, share, and subscribe. Tell